Yes, people, I hope you are doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome back to another episode of Corporate and Economic Laws. People, we were studying the part B of Corporate and Economic Laws, and the part B, we were studying the SEBI regulations. So, under SEBI regulations, there are three chapters. The first chapter we studied was how to raise finance from the capital markets. Okay. The second chapter was insider trading, and the last chapter, and the most beautiful one, is the takeover code. People, like always, we are not going to move on the theory part of this chapter. We are always going to begin with a case study, because a case study helps you understand the concepts in a more practical and in a logical manner. Okay. So shall we get started, people? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So people, this case study involves two companies. The number one company was Hindustan Unilever, which is into fast moving consumer goods, that owns famous brands like Dove, Surf Excel and Lakme on one side. And the second company is GlaxoSmithKline, which is called as, we will call it as GSK. GSK is into the business of food health drinks. Okay. So GSK also owns famous brands like Horlicks and Boost. Okay. So people, in 2018, Hindustan Unilever decided to acquire GSK for a whopping 31,700 crores rupees, people, making it one of the biggest acquisitions during that time. During which time, people? During 2018. Okay. So, Hindustan Unilever decided to acquire GSK. Hindustan is in the business of fast moving consumer goods, which owns famous brands like Surf Excel, Lakme and Dove. Okay. GSK also owns famous brands like Horlicks and Boost. Okay, so Hindustan Unilever decided to acquire GSK for a whopping 31,700 crores, making it one of the biggest acquisitions during that time. Now, the question is, why would a company which is into fast moving consumer goods wants to acquire a company which is into health food drinks, which is into health and food drinks? The reason is, people, there are four big reasons. The number one reason is this health and food drinks market was growing at a rate of 9% every year. Market growing at 9% every year. For example, if total turnover of from all the businesses, food and health drinks contributes, let's say, 100 crores in 2018. In 2019, this will be 100 crores plus 9%. In 2020, it will be 100 crores plus 9% plus 9% and so on. Okay. Now, this is not the main reason. The main reason is among this 100 crores, The major brand that was contributing, that had the highest market share in this sector was Horlicks, which had a market share of 50%, people, 50%. Okay, Boost we will not consider it. Okay, let's say Boost has 15 to 20% market share. Now, people, if from food and health drinks, the total turnover is, let's say, 7,000 crores, then Horlicks alone contributes how much, people? 3,500 crores. Are you guys with me? If in the food and health drinks, if there is a market of 100 crores, Horlicks alone contributes 50% of that 100 crores, which is growing annually by 9%. Okay. Now this was the market of food and health drinks. Okay. The first reason was food and health drinks was growing at a rate of 9% annually. The second reason is GSK owns two big brands. The number one brand is Horlicks, which contributes 50% of this food and health drinks. Okay. The third reason is, people, the third reason is GSK had a very efficient and strong distribution system in its rural areas, meaning GSK exactly knew which village would buy which products, which product would not work in which village. It had the entire data and distribution system with it. That system was had by GSK. Okay. The third reason is, sorry, first reason is done. Second reason is Horlicks. The third reason is it had a strong hold plus efficient distribution system. Now, people, strong and efficient distribution system, this was not had by HUL. They had to invest at least 800 to 1500 crores to build up a distribution system. But this was already with GSK, so HUL did not have to invest separately on distribution system. Okay. So once HUL acquires GSK, it will have four benefits. The number one benefit is it will have the food and health drinks with it, which is growing at an annual rate of 9%. The number two reason is it will have Horlicks under its company's umbrella, which has a 50% market share in food and health drinks. The third reason is it has a very strong and efficient distribution system in rural areas that HUL was not having. Okay. So what was the deal in simple terms? Let's understand. HUL acquired GSK's business for an approximately 31,700 crores, making it one of the biggest deals in FMCG sector. This was not just a simple purchase, it was a very strategic move. Here is what happened. What was acquired? Iconic brands like Horlicks was acquired. I told you, Boost was acquired. Number two, health drinks business size. The health food drinks market was valued at 7,000 crores in 2018, people. Now that is not important. What is important is Horlicks alone contributed to over 3,500 crores in annual sales, people. Annual sales. The third reason is GSK's rural distribution network covered 2,400 towns plus 3 million outlets, giving HUL a strong hold in rural areas. Tomorrow, if HUL wants to sell its products like Dove, Lakme to the rural areas, it can do that effortlessly because it has got a strong distribution network with it. Okay, that is the reason. So let's understand how did this acquisition took place. HUL did not pay the entire amount in cash. Then how did it pay? Instead, it used a process called merger by share swap, which means if I am supposed to give you 200 rupees, let's say 200 crores, if I acquire your company for 200 crores, I can pay you in two ways. The number one way is by cash. Obviously, let's say I'm paying you cash for 100 crores. Next is I can give you my shares, my company shares worth 100 crores. So the deal was, people, HUL decided to acquire GSK. Number one is by cash, obviously. Number two is it also gave share based payment, which is giving its shares to GSK. Instead, it used a process called merger by share swap. GSK shareholders received HUL shares in exchange for their shares in GSK Consumer Healthcare. So what happened was, HUL GSK. If a company is acquiring another company, which means a company is acquiring significant amount of shares in that other company. Let's say GSK had total 100 shares, HUL had total, let's say, 500 shares. Okay. So transaction was HUL wants to acquire this 100 shares. For that, it paid cash, obviously. And next is it said, for every one share that we are purchasing, we will give you 2 shares of HUL. So if GSK gives 1 share, HUL will give 2 shares, which means if GSK is giving 100 shares, HUL had to give 200 shares of HUL to GSK and the remaining in cash. So this was a transaction. This was a type of transaction that took place. Okay. All right. GSK Consumer Healthcare shareholders received 4.39 shares of HUL for every one GSK, for every one share of GSK Consumer. Now, what was the impact? Post acquisition, HUL's market capitalization crossed 4 lakh crores. Cementing means making it as one of the largest FMCG company in India. So this was how the acquisition took place. Now let's understand how was HUL benefited with this acquisition. The food health drinks category was growing at 9% annually. HUL now had a strong foothold. HUL now has a strong hold in its rural areas. aligning with the rising demand for health and wellness products. Second, pre-acquisition HUL's annual turnover was around 40,000 crores. With this acquisition, they added another 3,500 crores top line. Now, from where this 3,500 crores came, people? From here. The market of food and health drinks was of 7,000 crores. Among that, Horlicks contributed to 50% of market share. 50% of 7,000 crores means 3,500 crores. Now, once HUL acquired Horlicks, whatever revenues earned by Horlicks belongs to HUF, right? HUL, right, people? So, 3,500 crores that Horlicks has got turnover, it will be of HUL from next year, from the after the acquisition onwards. HUL leveraged GSK's distribution network to push its existing products like Surf Excel, Lux and Dove into rural areas. And the last was, the deal was expected to generate cost savings of 800 to 1,000 crores annually through operational efficiencies. I told you, if HUL wants to build a distribution network, it had to incur a cost of 800 to 1,000 crores every year, people. Now, after this acquisition, HUL got a very strong hold and network into rural areas. Now, HUL don't have to incur operational cost equivalent to 800 to 1,000 crores. So, this is the benefit of acquisition, people. 4 benefits: HUL entered a new market. Number 2, HUL got a revenue boost. Number 3, HUL can also sell its products in the rural areas through this distribution network. And number 4, cost synergies. Okay. All right. Now, what are the lessons from this takeover core, people? This is very, very important. Post-acquisition, HUL's revenue increased by 10% and its profit margin improved due to cost savings. HUL also solidified its position as a leader in both FMCG and health and food segments. Even though HUL is not in the business of health and food segment, still it became the market leader of health and food drinks due to the acquisition of which company, people? GSK. Cool. GSK used the proceeds. What was the proceeds? 31,700 crores to focus on its core pharmaceutical and vaccine businesses. Means GSK was into 2 business: health and food drinks. Number 2, pharmaceutical and vaccine business. Now, this was sold to HUL for 31,700 crores. Now, GSK can use this 31,700 crores where? To focus on its core business. What was the core business, people? Pharmaceutical and vaccine businesses. Mergers and acquisitions are not just about big numbers, people. They are about strategy, market expansion, and synergies. Synergies means, people, 1 plus 1 is not equal to 1 plus 1 can be equal to 3. Synergy effect, how HUL experienced the synergy effect, its revenue increased by 10% annually. And the last is regulatory bodies like Securities Exchange Board of India ensure that these deals are fair, transparent, and beneficial for all stakeholders. Now let's understand what was the role of Securities and Exchange Board of India in this acquisition process. SEBI's regulations require the deal to be approved by at least 75% of shareholders of both HUL as well as GSK. Independent valuations confirm the share swap ratio of 4.39 is to 1, which was fair. Okay. So SEBI ensures that every single step that is taken during the acquisition ensures it is conformed with transparency and fairness. This is the role of SEBI, to monitor if everything is going right or wrong and to regulate every single thing. So people, this regulation is called as SEBI Substantial Acquisition of Shares and Takeover Code 2011. This is a regulation that we are going to learn. Tomorrow, if you have any doubt related to acquisitions, takeovers, legal doubt, okay, not just doubt, legal doubt, if you have, you can directly go to this regulation and your doubt will be clear, because in this regulation, every single thing is mentioned, okay. Now, if you have any doubt with this chapter, people, you can immediately drop it into comment section. I will be happy to solve your doubts as soon as possible. Okay. All right. Now, the important question is, why are we studying this chapter? We are studying this chapter to understand what are the rules the company must follow when it acquires another company, number one. Number two is how the stakeholders' interests are protected when such acquisition take place. Cool, people. With this, let's begin the chapter of substantial acquisition of shares and takeover, that is the takeover code. The takeover code. All right. I hope everybody is with me, people. We will get started. If you want to take a screenshot, you can take it, people. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. This I don't think so you need to take. If you still want to take it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. All right. So people, let's understand why the SEBI takeover code exists. Number one is, people, protecting minority shareholders. Let's say, people, HUL wants to acquire GSK for 3 reasons. Okay, 3 reasons. Now, the decision of acquiring GSK, let's assume the decision of acquiring the GSK company was only taken by 20%, taken by, let's say, 60% of shareholders. Remaining 40% did not consent this deal because they were strong. Let's assume because they were strongly against the opinion that health and food drinks is not growing at the rate of 9%. Number one. Tomorrow, if a company like Complan or Bonvita take place of Horlicks owning the market share of 50%, then there is no use of paying 31,700 crores to GSK, because in the future anything can happen. Tomorrow anybody can take place of Horlicks. Okay, or let's say the minority shareholders were of the opinion that HUL should invest in building a strong distribution network so that it does not have to pay 31,700 crores long, because they are of the opinion that that distribution system is not efficient. Okay, Assuming the minority shareholders were having such opinions and they did not consent to the acquisition, but still HUL went forward in acquiring the company. And let's assume once the acquisition took place, every single thing happened as per the opinions of the minority shareholders. Okay, let's assume the 31,700 crores went wasted. Okay, now let's understand the situation of minority shareholders. They initially told, bro, do not acquire this GSA company. It is not good. We are not in support of this opinion. We are not in support of this acquisition. Still, they went ahead. They took the shares of the minority shareholders and gave it to the GSK shareholders, and then it was a total blunder. This acquisition was total blunder. Now imagine the situation of minority shareholders people. They initially told no and they were right. So this takeover, then SEBI, what it did was it mandated HUL and GSK, both the companies, to at least take the consent of 75% of shareholders, then only you can go ahead with this deal. Okay, SEBI told HUL and GSK, once you obtain the consent of 75% of the shareholders, then you can go ahead with this acquisition. So the reason is, that is why people, minority shareholders should be protected. Number two, it should ensure transparency. Every single thing that's happening in this acquisition should be transparent and in a fair manner. Nothing should happen in a secretive way. Okay. The third reason is it maintains investors' confidence. Minority shareholders have the confidence that nothing will go wrong with us because SEBI is there to take care of the situation. And the last is prevents exploitation in acquisition. Okay, which means people, like I said, if this deal was not, this deal went, because of this deal, it was a very bad decision to acquire GSK, assuming it was a bad decision to acquire GSK because SEBI told that 75% shareholders' consent is required to be obtained. That is why it is called as it prevents exploitation and acquisition by the 60% of shareholders against these 40% of shareholders. Just some small group of people who just because they are holding substantial amount of share, they cannot take any decisions that goes against the minority shareholders. SEBI regulates this. Okay, all right. Now, people, let's understand what are the important definitions that we need to understand before we move on to the regulations part of this chapter. Okay. The first definition is takeover. What does takeover means? Takeover occurs when an acquirer, who was the acquirer in the case study people? The acquirer was Hindustan Unilever Limited. A company or an individual gains control over the target company. Now, who was the target company? The target company was GSK. A takeover occurs when an acquirer gains control over the target company. This can involve buying a significant portion of the shares or gaining control over the management of the company. So a takeover code means when an acquirer acquires substantial amount of shares in the target company, it will be called as a takeover. If not shares, at least voting rights, also substantial voting rights is acquired, then it will also be categorized as a takeover. Buying a significant portion of the shares or gaining control over the management. Gaining control over the management means even though HUL is not acquiring the majority shares of the company, but it has the power to appoint the majority of the directors of GSK. Majority director comes under the management people. Okay. So HUL, even though it does not acquire the majority of shares in GSK, if it still has the power to appoint the majority of the director or change the management of the company, it will still be called as a takeover. Okay. So A takeover means when an acquirer can be a person or an individual people. It can even, let's say, even though Tesla is not, let's assume Tesla wants to acquire Reliance. Okay. Now, even though Tesla does not acquire Reliance, even though Elon Musk acquires Reliance, it will still be called as a takeover. So, an acquirer can be a person like Tesla or a person like Elon Musk or a company like Tesla. Are we clear? An acquirer gains control over target company. Acquirer is HUL, target company is GSK. Now, control can be obtained by two ways, either buying significant portion of shares of GSK or controlling the management, which means appoint majority of board of directors, power to appoint majority of board of directors of GSK. So takeover can be happen in two ways. When an acquirer, who can be a person or a company, acquires significant portion of the shares, number one, or controls the management of the target company, it will be called as an acquisition. Now, what is the meaning of substantial acquisition of shares? This refers to when an acquirer buys a substantial quantity of shares or voting rights, as I mentioned, GSK, or voting rights. Even though I will not purchase a share of the company, but I can still make an agreement with the shareholders, and you do not pay me any share, you do not sell me any shares, but just give me the voting rights, so that you hold the shares, but you should vote whenever a significant decision taking place as per my instructions. Okay, I'm not acquiring the shares of the shareholders, but I'm making an agreement with the shareholders saying that, bro, you do not sell me the shares, but just give me the authority to give you instructions on what you have, how you have to vote, what you have to vote in the whenever a company takes significant business decisions. That is called as voting rights. No shares are getting acquired, but voting rights is getting acquired. Are we clear, people? Yes. Okay. Which gives them significant influence over the company. This is usually when the acquirer buys more than 25% of the company's shares or voting rights, leading to a significant influence on the company. An acquirer is said to have significant influence on the target company when it has 25% or more shares with it. If HUL holds 25% or more shares in GSK, it has the power to influence significant decisions in the company, which is GSK. Are we clear, people? Okay, a person is said to have significant influence over the target company when it has 25% or more shares or voting rights with it of the target company. If a company like Zomato buys 30% of shares in Swiggy, it would be a substantial acquisition, giving Zomato a considerable influence over Swiggy's decisions. Cool, people, are we clear? Third is acquirer. Who is an acquirer? An acquirer is any person or group that buys shares or gains control of a target company either directly or through others acting together with them. An acquirer can be a person or a company that buys shares or gains control of target company either directly by the acquirer himself or through the persons acting in concert. Reliance Industries want to acquire Flipkart. Let's assume this. Reliance in Mukesh Ambani, he or Reliance Industries can acquire that Flipkart, or Reliance Industries through Reliance Jio or Reliance Network can acquire the company directly or through persons acting in concert. This could be an individual, a company, or even a group of companies. This is acquirer. People, if you want to take a screenshot, you can take it. Five, four, three, two, one, bam. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of control? Control refers to the power to appoint a majority of the directors we have discussed earlier, or to influence the management and policy decisions of a company. Control can be exercised directly through shareholding or indirectly through agreements or voting rights. If Apple buys enough shares in tech startup to appoint the majority of the board members, Apple gains control of the startup. Okay, let's understand how to draw the mind map of the acquirer. Acquirer. Acquirer is any person or group that buys shares or gains control of target company either directly or indirectly means through persons acting in concert. Let's say Mukesh Ambani himself or through his company Reliance Industries or through Reliance Jio, or let's say Neeta Ambani or any other company of Reliance. This is called as people persons acting in concert. People who want to acquire the company, who are of the same goal of acquiring the company, will be categorized as persons acting in concert, which we are going to study further. Okay. All right. So this is the meaning of an acquirer. An acquirer is any person or a group who acquires shares directly or indirectly, or who gains control either directly or indirectly through himself or through persons acting in concert. Target company. Are we clear, people? Yes. Perfect. Perfect. Now let's understand the meaning of control. What does control means? Control refers to power to appoint control refers to power to appoint majority of directors or to influence the management policy to influence the management or policy decisions of the company. Now, this can be done either directly or indirectly. Either directly or indirectly. Altogether, control means three types. Number one is you can appoint the majority. You have the power to appoint the majority of directors of the target company, even though you do not hold any shares. Number two, you can influence the management, which means the board of directors of the target company are accustomed to act as per your instructions. Whatever I say, the management of the target company will accept it. Next is management policy. I can significantly influence the management policy of that company. How can I influence it? I can make an agreement with the shareholders, majority of shareholders, saying that, bro, you do not pay me, you do not sell me any shares, but give me the power to vote in the meeting. So whatever I say, you vote it, whenever a company is taking any significant business decisions. Over here, even though shares are not getting transferred, their voting rights are getting transferred to me. So whatever I say, whatever I instruct the shareholders, they are accustomed to vote in that meeting, whatever I say. This is also called as control in the company, people. Are we clear? Yes, people. Yes, yes, yes. You can take a screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we learned control, acquirer, substantial acquisition of shares, and takeover. This frequently traded shares we will not study right now, people. We will study this in the end. Tendering period we will study in the end. Offer price also. Identify date also. Offer period also. We will study this persons acting in concert. These 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 concepts we are going to study in the next concept that we are going to learn, which is because of which you can easily interrelate with those concepts. All right. Okay. Next, we are going to study is persons acting in concert. I told that earlier. Persons acting in concert. Let's understand what actually does persons acting in concert means and who all can be included in the persons acting in concert. Persons acting in concert refers to individuals or groups who cooperate with the same goal. Mukesh Ambani, Nita Ambani, Mukesh Ambani either himself or Nita Ambani will acquire the shares of, let's say, target company is Flipkart. Okay, so even the Mukesh Ambani is not acquiring, Nita Ambani is acquiring. So our both goal is the same. So it refers to individuals or groups, Reliance or Reliance Jio. Either of them can acquire, will also be counted as a persons acting in concert. To cooperate the same goal of acquiring shares or control over a target company, whether they are formally or informally working together. If Adani Group and L&T together decide to acquire shares in Power Grid Corporation, they are persons acting in concert. Okay, companies among themselves can also make an informal or a formal agreement to acquire the acquire a target company. So they can have an agreement that you take 50% of profit, I will take 50% of profit, 40%, 60%, whatever the agreement says. Now let's understand what is the meaning of deemed persons acting in concert. Even though our goal is not the same of acquiring the company, still he will be categorized as deemed persons acting in concert. Let's see who are they. Certain individuals or groups are automatically considered persons acting in concert. These include a company, its holding, subsidiary company, and any company under the same management or control. Reliance Jio. Number 2, a company, its directors, and any person entrusted with the management of the company. Company, director, CEO, CFO, anybody who are the main management of the company, if any one of them will buy a company, they will still be called as persons acting in concert because we all are one. Number 3, promoters and members of the promoters group, immediate family members or relatives, a mutual fund and its manager. A mutual fund, okay. So mutual fund is a fund which takes money from the investors and invest it into shares, bonds, debentures, XYZ. Whatever return will come from them, they will charge a commission and then the remaining will be given to the investors. This you obviously know what is a mutual fund. So over here, who takes the decision of which company's stock should I buy in, which company's debentures should I invest in, which company's bonds should I invest in? It is decided by the manager of the mutual fund. So mutual fund will include, also its manager will include. Okay. A portfolio manager and its clients. A portfolio manager and its clients. A venture capital fund. Let's say let's say a company, well, let's say a fund called Shark Tank is into investing into startups. Shark Tank contains participants like Ashwini Grover, Anupam Mittal, Ritesh Agarwal. So, okay. So, even though Anupam Mittal purchases a company, it will also be said that he purchased the company along with Ashwini Grover and Piyush Bansal and Aman Gupta, whoever are the participants in that venture capital fund. A venture capital fund and its sponsor trustees. Trustee is the one who looks after the fund. Manager is sponsor is the one who takes major business decisions of the fund. Trustee company and asset management company. That company acquires any asset, that asset will be handed over to an asset management company. So asset management company will also be considered as persons acting in concert. An alternative investment fund and its sponsor, trustee, trustee company, and manager. Alternate investment fund means a fund which invests into commodities like gold, silver, or let's say stocks, bonds, or let's say it's investing into wheat, rice, XYZ. There are a lot of investment that different from the conventional way of investment. Okay, so this is called as alternative investment fund. Some people also invest in. Some people purchase a land. They grow certain types of crops. Let's say which type of crop it is that. There are a lot of types of crops, people. Okay, so when let's say I'm growing black pepper in the land that I'm growing, okay. So what happens is I will grow this black pepper. Once I realized that the black pepper's price is at the highest position, what I will do is I will immediately cut it and then sell it in the market. So such type of investment is called as alternative investment fund, a fund that invests in a manner that is different than a conventional or a regular way of investment. Regular way of investment is fixed deposits, mutual funds, etc. Next is a merchant banker and its client who is an acquirer. A portfolio manager and his client who is an acquirer. Portfolio manager, this is already included, people. Okay, so we will cut it. So these are the members who will be considered as deemed to be persons acting in concert. The target company is a company that is being acquired. It is usually listed on a stock exchange. Obviously, if SEBI is regulating an acquisition, it should ensure that a target company should be listed on stock exchange. The acquirer cannot be. The acquirer can. Okay. Acquirer can be a listed company. Listed means a company that is listed on stock exchange. Listed company or unlisted company, individual, group, company itself, or group companies. Acquirer plus PSC, obviously. Okay. So acquirer can be a listed company or an unlisted company, it doesn't matter. But the target company should be a listed company. Cool, people, are we clear? The tendering period also we will study in the next lecture. Weighted volume average also we will study in the next lecture. Now, let's understand what are the types of takeover. Okay, we will study this 5 types of takeover code, and then we will study one of the most interesting and the beautiful concept in this chapter, that is requirement of the open offer. in the next lecture. Okay. All right. So, what are the types of takeover? The first type of takeover is friendly takeover. Friendly takeover means that happened between HUL and GSK. Both the management, shareholders, board of directors, everybody consented to this acquisition. Hence, it is called as a friendly takeover. Everything happened with the consent of both the parties. Okay. This happens when the target company's management and board of directors are on a or are on. Okay, this will be confusing. Not called are consented with the deal. The acquirer offers an attractive price, 31,700 crores, for the target company shares, and the target's promoters agree to sell voluntarily. They are telling themselves, bro, please acquire our company and give us the money so that we can focus on our core business, that is pharmaceutical and vaccines. Think of it as a business deal where both sides benefit from the exchange and there is no resistance. Another example of the such type of acquisition is Tata Motors or acquisition of Jaguar Land Rover in 2008. Tata Motors acquired the iconic brand luxury car brands Jaguar and Land Rover from Ford. Okay, we'll draw a mind map. Ford owns two companies, Jaguar and Land Rover. Tata Motors acquired these two companies for $2.3 billion. The deal was a friendly takeover with both companies' management agreeing on the terms. This acquisition allowed Tata Motors to significantly enhance its global footprint in the luxury car market. Everything happened very smoothly, so it is called as a friendly takeover. The target company itself wants it acquired by the acquirer so that it can have huge amount of money. Once you have huge amount of money, you can do anything with it, people. You can focus on your core business, you can build a new business, or you can acquire another business that is in your same industry so that you can collaborate together better to achieve the synergy effect. Next is hostile takeover. Hostile takeover happens when the acquirer bypasses the management and the board of the target company. Let's say B and G. Let's say B and G company is into the business of AI fintech. I hold 40% of shares. Public owns 60% of shares. Okay. Now I am working day and night to make this business a huge business. Okay. I'm trying to expand my business to reach the global markets. Okay. What happens is suddenly Elon Musk, what he does is he gradually acquires 5% shares from the public, not a problem. Then he purchases another 10%, not a problem. 15%, then another 10%, he purchases 25%, and then gradually he acquires the 60%. Gradually, Elon Musk, without my knowledge, acquires 60% of my own company. Tomorrow when I get up, I get a call from my employee that Elon Musk has acquired our company, so I cannot lead the management from tomorrow onwards. How pathetic is that, people? This type of acquisition which is happening without my consent. I am not consenting. Okay, I am not consenting to the acquisition. But Elon Musk gradually, slowly acquired 5%, and acquired 10%, and acquired 15%, and then along with persons acting in concert, his total shareholding, when he reaches 60%, he has acquired my company. A hostile takeover happens when the acquirer bypasses the management, BG, and board of directors of target company. The acquirer directly approaches the shareholders to buy enough shares to gain control despite the objections of the target company's management. I am not consenting, but still my company got acquired. L&T attempt to acquire Surya Lakshmi Cotton Mills in 2001 was considered as hostile. L&T offered to purchase shares directly from the market despite the target company's management resisting the offer. While L&T did not ultimately gain control, the attempt created waves in the corporate India. Same thing happened, people. 60% of shares was traded on stock exchange. So L&T was going to purchase 60% of shares from the market itself. This is called as a hostile takeover, even though it did not happen, but it is called as a hostile takeover. Next is horizontal takeover, people. What is a horizontal takeover? When a company which is into the same industry acquires another company, that company is also in the same industry. For example, Facebook, which is in the business of social media, acquires Instagram, which is a photo sharing app, which is again in the business of social media, acquires Instagram, acquires WhatsApp. It is called as a horizontal takeover. A company which is into the same industry acquires another company. It is called as a hostile takeover. Sorry, horizontal takeover, people. My bad. A horizontal takeover occurs when one company takes over another company that operates in the same industry. This type of merger is usually aimed at increasing market share, reducing competition, and expanding product offerings. Facebook's acquisition of Instagram in 2012, Facebook, already a leader in social media, acquired Instagram, which was operating in the same space, to strengthen its position and eliminate competition. This horizontal takeover helped Facebook expand its services and maintain dominance in the market. This is called as a horizontal takeover. Next is, people, vertical takeover. Apple's acquisition of Beats Electronics. Apple is in the business of manufacturing iPhones. Acquired Beats. Who was Beats? Beats was a supplier of audio hardware. Beats was a supplier of audio hardware. This vertical takeover was part of Apple's strategy to integrate hardware and services like the Beats using service more closely with its ecosystem, improving control over both production and distribution channels. Apple is in the business of manufacturing phones. Beats is in the system of audio. So Apple acquired Beats. Involves a vertical takeover involves a company acquiring another that is in its supply chain, either a supplier or a customer. This can be a backward integration, acquiring the suppliers, or acquiring the distribution. Acquiring distributors or customers. This is called as a vertical takeover. I am either acquiring my supplier or I am acquiring the distributor. In the HUL and GSK case, HUL acquired GSK and it got benefited with an efficient and a strong hold in its distribution system in rural areas. So this is called as a backward integration, where this is called as a forward integration, acquiring the distributors or customers in the business. This is called as a forward integration. Are we clear, people? Yes. The last type of takeover is conglomerate takeover. A company which is in the industry of, let's say, again, HUL and GSK. HUL is in the business of fast moving consumer goods. GSK is in the business of health food drinks. Both are into different industry. Still, HUL acquired GSK. This is called as a conglomerate takeover. A company acquiring another company which is into different industry. A conglomerate takeover happens when one company acquires another company that operates in a completely different industry. The goal here is typically to diversify and reduce risk by spreading investment across different sectors. Reliance Industries acquisition of Network 18. Reliance Industries primarily known for its operations in petrochemicals, refining and telecommunications, acquired Network 18, a media conglomerate. This acquisition diversified Reliance portfolio into the media sector. Reliance, which was in the business of petrochemicals, telecommunications, and refining, now when it acquired Network 18, it diversified its business and entered into which business, people? Media business. A completely different industry, showcasing a classic case of conglomerate takeover. So we learned 5 types of takeover. Number 1 takeover is friendly takeover. The number 2 takeover is hostile takeover. The number 3 takeover is horizontal, vertical, and the last is conglomerate takeover. If everybody with me, people? Yes. People, I would like to tell you one thing. I have observed one thing, that in the study material, the language is very, very bookish. Okay, you will not be able to read, understand, and let alone how are you going to learn, I do not know. Okay, so that is what I did was, every single line, every single concept I've taken from the study material, rewritten it, restructured it, along with including examples and case studies, so that you will be able to read, understand, learn in the best way possible. Okay, so everything I have included in my notes. If you want my notes, you can drop a query. You can call Hgpa Academy and you will get your notes back. This was about notes part. Okay. Regarding doubt part, if you have any doubt, please drop it in the comment section. I will be happy to explain the answers to you. All right. Yes, people. Yes. Till now we have studied types of takeover. What is the meaning of deemed persons acting in concert? Number 2, persons acting in concert. Number 3, what is meant by control? What is meant by acquirer? What is meant by substantial acquisition of shares? And the first thing we learned is takeover. Yes, people. Are we clear? So we will stop it for today, people. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video useful, please like it, drop your comments about what part of this lecture you liked it, where all improvements or suggestions you would like to give me, so that I can improve in my next lecture onwards for you, and share it with your friends who might need it, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.